Hello everyone, thank you for coming tonight. I'm going to go ahead and talk about the importance of military service and why I think it is important for people to join the military, especially right now. So if you have any cell phones on, go ahead and turn them off and I'll go ahead and get started. Okay, so what I want to talk about is the importance of coming into the military, especially right now with unemployment rates as high as they are in the nation. You know, everyone's saying that we're in a recession still, and even some people are talking about that we're in a depression too. One that is even worse since the 1920s. I went ahead and pulled some of that unemployment data. I'm going to go ahead and share that with you today. Some of the employment rates that we have in the nation, and these are for August of 2012. They haven't updated the September ones yet, obviously. But the state where I'm at right now, Nevada, has a 12.1% unemployment rate. 12.1%. That's pretty high, considering that Nevada only has a population of around 2.5, 3 million people. You have Missouri, where our school is based out of, with a 9.1% unemployment rate. Texas, where my family lives at, 7.1%. And I just went ahead and threw in Puerto Rico. And Puerto Rico has 13.5%. Yes, I know Puerto Rico is not a state, but it is one of our territories, so I want to go ahead and throw that in there as well. So with the employment rates as high as they are, some of the benefits to joining the military is obviously pay. You're guaranteed a paycheck the 1st and 15th of every month. The size of that paycheck, depending on what pay grade and what rank you are and years of service, is going to determine what that is. You get housing. You get free housing for if you're not married. Now, how perfect is that? Everyone's complaining about mortgages and the housing market and rent and everything else, but if you're a single soldier or sailor or Marine or airman, you get a free place to sleep. You can't beat that. Now, what if you're married, you say? Okay, well, if you're married, you can either get base housing or you can get what's called a housing allowance. And that, again, depends on what your rank is, dependents, non-dependents, and so on and so forth, is what your housing rate's going to be. Food. Well, food, if you're single and you're living in the barracks, then you get 3 free meals a day at the chow hall. All you do is you walk up, show your ID, your meal card, and you get your free meal. You can't beat that, free, right? What if you're married? Well, then you get what's called a food allowance. And that's roughly about $350 a month. It kind of fluctuates, and also goes with where you're based out of, and you get a cost of living allowance, so that kind of fluctuates a little bit too. Education benefits. Education benefits are perfect. I myself am reaping the benefits of getting that myself, and I get about $2,000 a month in the GI Bill, on top of tuition assistance, on top of getting my student loans repaid. How many people here have student loans? Yeah, I know a few of us, right? Well, guess what? The military is going to pay up to $60,000 of your student loans if you're enlisted, up to $125,000 of student loans if you're an officer. That right there should be getting you to go and join the military on its own. Then you get with technical training. Go to your MOS school, your military occupational service. Okay, you get free training. Get to go learn what computers, mechanics, artillery, infantry, whatever, medicine, whatever it is that you want, the military has a job for you. And not only do they train you for free, but they pay for you to go there as well. And then, of course, my favorite, travel. How many people here like to travel, right? A bunch of us. Well, guess what? You get to go places for free. Not only do you get to go to places for free, but you get to go to some places that other people aren't even allowed to go to. For example, I got to go to Cuba during my time in the Marine Corps. Not very many people can say they've been to the island of Cuba as an American citizen. And I think that's awesome. You know, you don't get to travel for free, and you get to collect a paycheck while you do it. So not only are you traveling for free, you get paid to do that as well. I mean, that's crazy. Why wouldn't you want to do that? How many people here try to take vacations all the time and say, oh, well, I can't because I can't afford it or I don't have the money? Well, here you go. Yeah, you got to do a little bit of work, but you also get a lot of downtime and get a lot of free time. So why not, right? Well, I've talked about some of the tangible benefits that you get from joining the military. Now, here are some intangible benefits that you get. You get stress management. Military is probably one of the most stressful jobs that are happening right now. People are getting hurt, dying, and so on and so forth. And you have to learn how to deal with that stress. So, that's something that you get and that you can take with you to whatever job you decide to do outside of the military. You learn integrity. Integrity is a very big part of the military. If you can't be trusted, if people can't depend on you, then you're worthless, right? Well, that's the same thing with your civilian job. If your employer can't depend on you to come to work every day and do the right thing, then they're just wasting their money having you as one of their employees. Now, you also learn honor. Honor is, I think that's something that everybody has to define on themselves. It's very hard for me to say what honor means, but I guess for honor for me is doing the right thing when nobody else would. Taking pride into something that you've accomplished, feeling a part of something, feeling pride. You get to learn judgment skills. You got to make the right decisions, right? It's the same thing, right? If you're in the civilian world, you got to go to your job. Some of you may be air traffic controllers, policemen, firemen, whatever it is that you've decided to do, teachers. You have to go and you have to make the right judgment call sometimes. It's going to depend on whether or not somebody passes or if they fail, and so on and so forth. That their lives in your hand. It's very important. My favorite, time management. I still struggle with time management. Sometimes I wait till the very last minute to do things. Sometimes I forget. But I would not be where I'm at today if it had not been for the Marines and for currently the Army teaching me how to manage my time. Sometimes you just can't get everything done too, and that's a hard lesson to learn. Everybody tries to complete everything. They start something, they want to finish it, and sometimes mission dictates that you can't do that. Well, sometimes you just have to prioritize. It's the same thing in life, same thing at work. You may have a deadline, or you may have something else. You may have 2 jobs that have to get done, and you can only have time to do one. So you got to pick which one it is, right? And that's a skill that you learn while in the military. But also I want to talk about how the military service strengthens our nation. We aren't who we are today. And I say we, I mean Americans. We're not the country we are today if it wasn't for the men and women serving in our military. We wouldn't have the technology. We wouldn't have, as bad as our economy it is, it's actually a lot better than most. And we wouldn't have the things that we have today, internet, TVs, Xboxes, computers, and so on and so forth, if it wasn't for our military members strengthening our nation and giving people the ability to make those things and do those things. And we should be fortunate that we have what's called a voluntary service, which means it's not mandatory for us to have to join. Now, some countries do have a mandatory service, and I went ahead and jotted a couple of those down to go ahead and share with you. Some of those are, one of them is our ally Israel. Everybody knows how strong Israel is. Israel always goes into a war, and when they ended up getting more than what they started out with. And then, of course, everybody knows China and North Korea. Now, as much as I would hate to admit China and North Korea, since they are not our allies, but they are probably 2 of the strongest countries in the world because of their mandatory service in the military. They have the 2 largest militaries in the world, what call a 1 million man standing army, meaning that they had 1 million people in their army. And as big as we are, we don't even have that many people in our military. So I just want to go ahead and conclude and kind of summarize up everything I just talked about. Military service is very important for the strength of our nation, for the integrity of our nation, and for the advancement of our nation. Also, like I said, the benefits right now are just, it's astronomical. Everybody should, at least do a couple of years, go in there, get a good technical skill, get some money out, put it in your pocket, and just reap these education benefits. Everybody's always saying they're struggling. I have many students in my class that say, hey, I'm struggling to pay, I don't know how I'm going to afford next semester. And I try to tell them, you know what, go in the military, do a couple years, get out, and then you're not going to have to worry about it. So I just want to go ahead and conclude in that, and thank you, and everyone have a good night.